My name is Alan Firestone. I'm a Holocaust survivor and museum volunteer. I was born in Kolomea, Poland on January 31, 1933. My parents ran a successful small grocery store and bar, providing a comfortable life for myself and my four older sisters. When World War II began in 1939, Kolomea was first occupied by the Soviet Union. My parents' store was taken away from them, and my sisters and I had to study Russian and Soviet history. During the Soviet occupation, my oldest sister, Ruzha, got married and gave birth to a baby boy named Risho. Germany invaded the Soviet Union in June of 1941. For a short time, my town was occupied by Hungary, an ally of Nazi Germany. The Hungarians forced the Jews to rebuild railroad tracks to support the effort. Soon thereafter, the Nazis took control of my town. The Nazis ordered all adults to wear armbands, showing that they were Jewish, and implemented other rules that excluded Jews from public life. The real disaster struck on January 26, 1942. That day, the Nazis, with the support of 3 Ukrainian auxiliary police, came to our home and arrested my father. They returned some hours later and arrested my sister Ruzha and her husband Herman. Before taking them away, 2 policemen forced my sister into another room and raped her. Then they traded places, and the 3rd policeman took his turn. As she was leaving, my sister turned to my mother and asked her to take care of her little boy. That same afternoon, the auxiliary police officers came back and arrested my mother. We never found out what happened to them, but we assumed they were taken to the nearby Sheparovtsa forest and murdered. My sisters, Frima, Yula, Gina, later called Frida, Julia, and Rachel, and I were left to take care of ourselves and my little nephew, Risho. I was 9 years old. A few weeks later, we were forced into the ghetto in our town. The 5 of us were given a single room to share. My cousin Herman, Jack, and Hilda Spiegel moved into a room next to ours. My sisters were unable to take care of my little nephew and asked his paternal grandmother to take care of him. Just a few weeks later, during Passover, there was another roundup of Jews. My nephew's grandmother and many others were forced to march to the Sheparovtsa forest, where she was murdered. My nephew, just 2.5 years old at the time, was used for target practice by the local SS. Starvation was very pervasive. Many mornings, I watched a man with a horse and buggy collect the corpses of people who had died of starvation. My youngest sister, Gina, got a job working outside the ghetto harvesting beets. She was able to smuggle beets into the ghetto a few times, and we ended up living on those for a while. Eventually, Gina was caught smuggling food into the ghetto and was arrested immediately, and we never saw her again. By the fall of 1942, it became obvious that the Nazis were determined to murder all of us. My sister Frima, along with a friend, tried to save herself by escaping the ghetto. They took a train to Lvov, a large nearby city, where they hoped to blend in. On the train, she was recognized by a former neighbor who denounced them to the police. And she and her friend were arrested, and we never knew their fate. That left just Yula and me. Her boyfriend Pavel Wormuth made arrangements with his family's former maid, Franja Palega, to hide him and my sister. Before they were able to move to their no hiding place, Pavel and his entire work detail were killed in a mass shooting operation after reporting for work. However, Yula was able to convince Franja to hide her, even though Pavel was no longer escaped. Yula escaped from the ghetto and moved with Franja, while I remained in the ghetto on my own. After some persuading, Franja agreed to hide me as well. Yula and I spent all of 1943 hidden by Franja and her daughter Stasha. We spent our time either in the attic of the building or in a wardrobe in Franja's apartment. We sat in that wardrobe, not daring to breathe when occasional guests came, or when Stasha entertained her boyfriend, a German soldier. In 1944, in February, we were liberated by the Soviet army. We immediately began looking for survivors. After living with a group of survivors for a number of weeks in relatively safety, we were forced to flee because of rumors of a German military counteroffensive. My sister and Yula returned to Kolomea in late summer 1944, but we stayed there only a short time. We moved west into Poland, settling in Breslau, formerly East Germany. We lived an uneventful life in the summer of 1946, when Polish mobs attacked survivors and killed a large number of them. The news of the pogrom spread like wildfire, and we decided it was no longer a life for us in Poland. After some difficulties, we received visas and arrived in the US in February 1947. Some 50 years after I left Kolomea, I decided to revisit my old town. I managed to visit the Sheparovtsa forest, where thousands of Jews, including my family, were murdered. There was a small monument in memory of the victims of the Holocaust in Hebrew, Yiddish, and Ukrainian. To my distress, I noticed human feces at the base of the monument. Anti-Semitism was alive and well in Ukraine. Anti-Semitic incidents were also on the rise in the United States at the time and continue today. That's why I tell my story to warn people of the dangers of unchecked hatred and anti-Semitism. It is up to all of us, Jews and non-Jews, to stop anti-Semitism at its root before it metastasizes into a much more serious situation.